What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. If you haven't been on here yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Again, on the track. Today we got a couple things that we're doing. A friend of mine, Rudy. This was actually my ski at one point, and it was just a daily driver. I rode it around when I had nothing else going on, and he bought it from me. And I'm over here with the motor out of it because we are doing some flywheel bolts. So these bolts tend to shear on the Seadoos once you start putting some power to it. So in order to not let that happen, we're gonna go ahead and change these flywheel bolts out today. But been pretty busy, man. I've had a lot of stuff going on. Been pretty backed up, so I'm trying to catch up now and get these videos going. I know it's been a little while. Almost out of all the merch here, since you guys have been ordering it all online. Caleb came by earlier, picked up his hoses from Fizzle. I got a Fizzle intercooler that I'm gonna be putting in this weekend for a good friend of mine, Moby, down in Miami. Gonna go ahead and start putting these flywheel bolts on, and possibly take out another ski later on this afternoon and take it for a test drive. He said he's got a little bit of vibration, so we'll see what's going on with that. So, see you guys later. All right, guys, so this is what I use. They are ARP bolts. Oh, never mind. Who this? Oh, Mita. What's up, man?
What's up, Julio?
Not much, man. Just doing some flywheel bolts.
Hey, just calling to confirm tomorrow, 100. I'm there.
Yeah, we're good, man. I'm ready. I got your parts. I got everything ready to go. So as soon as you come in, we'll knock it out.
Yeah, I'm leaving down here at 7 on the dot, so I'll probably be there like at 9.
All right, yeah, that's cool, man. I'll be here waiting for you.
All right.
All right, man.
See you then.
Dale, I'll see you tomorrow. Later, bro. All right, that is Brian, actually. He's coming tomorrow. It's gonna be on a Saturday. I'm gonna be doing an exhaust and stage 1 setup. Well, I'll get some video on that so you guys could enjoy that as well. So back to this, ARP bolts for the flywheels. It does recommend 28 foot-pounds. So these guys are replacing these OEM bolts that tend to shear. So I'm gonna go ahead and unpackage all that, get some Loctite on it, put the flywheel, put everything back on here, torque it up, and then put it all back into that ski right there. All right, a little trick that I've learned over the years, and one of my mentors, I guess you could say, has shown me, is when you get the flywheel, just get some of the Loctite on there and just put it right on the back of it. This will go onto the crank directly, and just having this extra little bit of Loctite on there, you know, once it's on there, it'll keep it from, you know, moving around once it dries. So I do this just to have a little bit extra secure. I mean, it might not work, but it works for me, so I do it. So with that done, we could go ahead and bring it over. There's gonna be a locator pin right here on the bottom, and that goes to this hole right here. And there it is. So you can tell it's seated because it's all the way back there. Next thing you're gonna grab is your crank pickup wheel. There's also a place where the locator pin goes. So right there on the back. And then the last thing you need is your magneto. This is actually a magnet. This is what charges your battery while it's in here spinning. This guy doesn't have a locator pin, but you just gotta put it, you know, right on its bolts, basically, on its holes where it goes, and it's ready to roll. Next thing you gotta do is get some Loctite, throw it onto the ARP bolts. You know, just put a good amount. Too much is not bad, too little is, so make sure you give it a good squeeze on here when you're doing this, and get all these bolts full of Loctite, because this is what you don't want coming off. So this ski is gonna be getting a wheel And that's why we're doing this. We're gonna be spinning a lot more RPMs, so we don't want this to break and cause any engine damage. So I believe this is gonna be this 10 here. Maybe not. There you go. Get a little extension on here. All right guys, so now with the flywheel bolts installed in their location, it's right around here. What I do is I lock the engine down, that way I could torque all the bolts down. So what I do is I get this crank locking tool here, make sure you put the motor on time, and this will slide right into a hole that's in the crank to lock it. That way, when I go to tighten these, the motor doesn't rotate or anything. So next thing you gotta do is make sure you get a torque wrench. I have just a Cobalt digital torque wrench, and it does call for 28 foot-pounds, but I'm gonna do 29 because I feel that this right here, this extra little extension, takes away from your torque. So 29, call it 28.5 whenever it's all said and done. So you figure it out, it works. So it's pretty simple. Just do, you know, star pattern, try to do everything evenly so you don't have any, you know, binds or anything like that. All right, now with everything torqued down, ready to go, we're gonna go ahead and go grab this PTO gasket. So let's come over here. Like I said, man, if you guys wanna do this yourself, I do have a lot of the parts in stock, so you could just come right here and get whatever you need and not have to wait, you know? You get everything ready to go. So looks like I'm gonna have to order some more PTO gaskets. This is the last one. Little spray. So we get this PTO gasket put on here real quick. I've already cleaned off the gasket and all that on here, so it's really just easy. Just put it on there and make sure it's aligned. All right, there's that. Here's the PTO. Here's the old gasket. So a lot of people try to save these, but what's the point, man? You know, you put this in the ski, it starts to leak. Now you gotta pull the whole motor out. Nah. I'm gonna go ahead and change the gasket. So here's this. Surface is all cleaned up. So we're gonna go ahead and slap this bad boy on there. All right, so got it cleaned up pretty good. It's, you know, it's not going to be perfect. There's a lot of corrosion on this part of the motor, but you know, it is what it is. We'll get it going, and hopefully we got no leaks or anything when you gasket. You know, everything cleaned up, so it should be fine. So over here, I got all the bolts separated. So this is for the main PTO cover bolt. This is for the water pump housing, and then I have the starter and everything separated over there. So let's put this guy right. These are gonna need the E8 Torx, which is right here, and a little extension, and let's get this gun. All right, we'll start dropping these in. with that PTO cover on, we're gonna go back to the toolbox here and we're gonna grab the next few bolts that we need. These are gonna be for the water pump. So basically all I do is I just move everything over. That way it's easy to work with. And then all you gotta do is just obviously make sure your gasket's still there and go ahead and slap it back on. All right, with all that done, we should go ahead, probably get the PTO bellow boot on here. Everything else looks pretty good. I didn't really mess with anything else on the engine. Got to put the plugs back and take this guy out. So put this back in there. This is where you lock the crank at right here. So you could do some work without the motor spinning around. So you have to make sure you put this back, because if not, you're just gonna have basically a little open hole in the engine. So this thing will squirt oil out everywhere. Left a couple of those loose in my time, but it's all a learning curve, you know. Shout out to Justin, JetTex, because that's probably the only one that I've ever let loose. Just hit that a couple times. All right guys, so next step is pretty much on the way. We're gonna go ahead and use my hoist, connect it to the motor. I'm gonna lift it up in the air and then I'm gonna position the ski right here so that I could go ahead and lift the motor up and put it down into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that going. All right guys, now with the motor put in, we're gonna go ahead and catch these motor mounts. There's one there, one down here, and one in the front. So we just gotta catch those 3 bolts that'll put the motor in there. I'm gonna go ahead and check the alignment on it. And that's pretty much all we could do today, since we're waiting on a drive shaft to come in, since his is pretty busted. Look at this thing. I tried everything, man. I tried to beat this hat off of here, but this thing is just done. So we went ahead. I have a drive shaft here, but it is aftermarket, and he did not want to do aftermarket. I usually don't recommend aftermarket drive shafts just because they're junk. But basically this is an aftermarket one here we're not going to use, especially if it's a ski that I plan to have running in the 80s. The last thing I need is for this thing to break and somebody get hurt. So I always use OEM drive shafts on these things. So we're gonna go ahead, catch these 3 mounts and connect everything else, and then bring in that other yellow Yamaha that's outside, pull the pump on it, take it for a test drive. We'll see how it does. What the hell is that noise? Hey, take it easy in there! Hey, take it easy! Shut up! Alright, so it happened to just be our mechanic at 1K, Ray, going crazy with the doors because they're making noise in the wind. He's crazy. But we have a lot of progress here. One head got everything in, everything's bolted down. Everything's aligned. Only thing we're missing is the supercharger. We are putting a bigger wheel in it, so that's not in yet. And then I got a couple clamps that I need to go pick up that rusted away, so we're gonna go ahead and grab those now. But I'm pretty much done with this ski for the day. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out of the shop. I'm gonna bring in that yellow Yamaha, pull the pump out of it, see what's up. watch this. Watch the windshield. Watch the windshield.
Yeah, bro, don't break.
What are you doing, Luan?
Playing. Better see this shit on YouTube later.
What? What'd you say?
Better see that shit on YouTube later.
I mean, if you say something funny, I'll put it on there. If you drop that, I'll put it on there. No pressure.
Talk about this crazy weather, man.
Yo, it was like what?
It was hot as
75
hell
this morning?
All of a sudden it got cold.
Feels like it's about to snow or something.
It's freezing out here.
Bro, you know that you're from. You know that I know where you're from. Yo, you didn't. Where am I from? Aren't you from New Jersey, bro? Nah, bro. Nah, I'm from here, John. You're from here? Yeah, bro. My mom, my whole family.
So we're gonna go ahead and get this jet pump removed and see what kind of damage we see in there from all the rocks and sand and everything that's been through there from the customers leaving them on the shore and starting them up. So let's go ahead and rip this bad boy out of here. All right, had a little technical difficulties, but we got it out. So basically there's some tabs right here. You stick a flathead in and it'll pry out the pump. Alright, so it seems like this jet pump might be bad. It's not really moving very well in here. So it's binding up pretty hard. So I'm gonna continue taking this apart, see if I can find anything in here. Alright, unfortunately Paul's problem is a little deeper than wraps. So as you can see, this jet pump is shot. So I don't know if we'll be able to rebuild it, but I'm gonna try to take it apart, see what kind of mess we got going on, and then go from there. So, but from the looks like of it, hopefully he doesn't need a brand new jet pump. Hopefully we could just rebuild this, put it all back together. Yo, so you're not gonna punch it, right?
Me?
Yeah. Yo, if you don't punch it, I might ride with you. But if you like go balls to the walls right now, like, yeah, you're right, it is wet. So we're gonna hear you going, wa-da-da, wa-da-da-da, wa-da-da-da-da. Is that Honda transmission fluid?
Huh? New.
Wow. That is not recommended.
Yeah.
Only use Honda transmission fluid. As soon as this channel grows, man, it's gonna be pretty intense.